October the 31st, 2020. Guys, you're looking at the National Hurricane Center, and this storm we've been tracking for a couple of days. This particular update came out 24 minutes ago at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we have Tropical Depression number 29. This, as it forms into a tropical storm, will become the next letter in the Greek alphabet from Zeta to Eta, ETA. Right now, you've got maximum sustained winds at 35 miles an hour. Central pressure is 1,006 millibars. Now, it's moving west. Pretty good clip at 15 miles an hour. We'll take a look at the satellite images. But again, this storm is predicted to go a little further south than Zeta did. It's possibly going to impact land and bounce around in the upper Caribbean for a few days. We'll look at the models on that. We also have some solar information coming in, and the sun is heating up with a couple of large sunspots, so we're going to have to kind of pay attention to both Earth weather and space weather, which are directly related. Now, these are the Caribbean images, up to date as we're doing the video. Again, this is at 8:26 p.m. Eastern, 7:26 p.m. Central Time. Very well put together storm, guys. It's covering a large amount of the Caribbean. Just depending on a high pressure system, and if you look at the very top of this map, and I'm going to pull it up just a second, we're getting a pretty good clip of air coming over Georgia right now, over northern Alabama, up into Georgia, South Carolina, and there's a high pressure system that's going to be setting in, and that is going to determine how Zeta moves and which direction it travels. Now, you guys that don't live on the south, along the coast, or along the east coast, I know sometimes these storm warnings kind of get boring because you're not affected. But what you should do is look at the effect that Zeta had last week, guys. Millions without power, people died in that storm, between drowning in Mississippi and trees falling, buildings destroyed. I'm talking about wiped out, roofs taken out, and there's still hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million people without power. So update yourself on the effects of Zeta. You'll see that it's one of the longest storm seasons, one of the strongest storms this late in the season. A lot of records have been broken, but the spaghetti models are kind of all over the place. Right now, the storm is setting here, and it's projected to keep moving west, then do a loop, and then possibly move back up. Now, CMC is showing the same thing, but there's a high pressure system that's going to be hovering over the U.S., and it's going to be trying to tamper down ETA. Now, one of the trusted models is the Canadian model, the CMC model you're seeing now. We're seeing the storm move into the Yucatan, bounce back out into the northern Caribbean, and then on November the 10th, now I understand it's a long time away, it's showing it bounce back across Cuba towards the Gulf of Mexico. And notice the orange and red above this model. That is high pressure. There's a system moving in out of Texas in the last frame. So between those, usually is where a storm like this would try to travel. So again, as it stops going into November 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, it's entered. But notice over Mississippi, up through the Mississippi River Valley, you have a opening in the high pressure system. This is going to change. It's still far out, but the season is not over. And that's why I wanted to point this out yet. Don't let your guard down quite yet. Let's look at space weather just a minute, guys. A big comet Atlas, we talked about this, the C20M3 one, is approaching Earth. At its closest approach will be on November 14th. Now, it's not going to be naked eye visible, but this is from Michael Yeager with an 11-inch telescope coming out of Yarling, Australia. And so we're still 2 weeks away, and you're getting images like this. But I wanted to mention, again, C20M3 Atlas is making its close approach in a couple of weeks. Also, on the comet that's coming in November 3rd, guys, they have not recovered that comet. None of the information has changed, and we'll take a quick look at it. Guys, and what you're looking at is a JPL model of 2018 VP1. Now, it's hard to see. Let me pull this up. We'll get it Earth-facing or sun-facing from the Earth perspective. And there again, we have the comet right here, and in the white line and the blue line right beside it, see how close I can get, is Earth. In just a couple of days, VP1 is going to be catching up with the planet, and there's going to be a very close intersection. And I've talked about it being, they're saying the minimum distance is less than the radius of the Earth, guys. In other words, an impact is indicated at minimal distance. Now, one thing about it, it's going to kind of be coming behind the planet, and it's going to be a sun-facing event, and it makes it very hard for astronomers to locate or to recover an object that's coming from the sun. Sometimes it doesn't happen until it's past Earth, and then they can get a better shot at it. But let me just show you the close approach data. And here's our close approach data. They have not recovered this asteroid. It's going to be coming from behind the Earth, but on the sun-facing side, and it makes it very hard to see it and to recover it, just like trying to look into the sun. You can't hardly see anything. It's so bright. But it has not been located. The last solution date was November the 19th, 2018. They had a data arc span of 13 days. Here's what's important. Again, the last observation was 2018, November the 16th. Condition code 7. What that means is you have a scale from 0 to 9. 9 means highly uncertain. 0 means they're pretty sure where the thing's going to go. 7 is still very high. A lot of people have been asking, what's the update? What's the update? And I check it. There just has not been one. And it is still coming closer at its minimal distance on the approach to impact the Earth or the Earth's atmosphere. It's not that big of a deal as far as the size of it. You could have a small aerial explosion. It's smaller than the Cherenkov meteor that did the same thing, or the meteorite. But guys, we're just going to pay attention to it. And the reason I brought this up was it has been, since August, the closest approaching object to Earth. But everybody was pushing the narrative of, no, September, October, they're coming in. And I said, no, they're not, unless they're hiding the information. But again, all you can do is, unless you can control Hubble, or you have a very large telescope and you know exactly where to look, this is all the information we've got. But again, it's still coming closer than the distance across our planet to the center of our planet. So there's not really an update other than their fact that it has not been recovered. So all you guys asking about this 2018 VP1, this is it. Has not been recovered. We still don't know. Also, guys, we are going into solar cycle 25. You're looking at very live images of the sun. Now, it's going through the frames, going back to yesterday up to the current images. And we talked about the sun spots change their polarity each time, because the sun does each solar cycle roughly every 11.8 years. And by the way, it does match the orbit of the sun's binary twin. We call it Jupiter. But on the western limb of the sun, you've got 2 of these new sunspots that's moving around to the other side of the sun. But on the eastern limb, you have 2 more. And guys, as we get deeper into solar cycle 25, you're going to see more and more activity from the sunspots. It's pretty quiet right now. We've had a filament, which is right there. You can barely see it. That's been looping across the sun for the last few days. One of the longest that I've ever seen. So the sun is active. You've got openings at both the north and south poles of the sun, and that is a coronal hole or an opening in the magnetic fields, and it allows stronger streams of solar wind to move out into the solar system. And if it's Earth facing, then we feel it, and you start seeing the pressure on the tectonic plates, things like that. But the sun is definitely starting to reactivate for this solar cycle. And it may be a good thing because, guys, you know in the Bible, in Revelation, one of the angels pours out a vial upon the sun, and the beast's kingdom is cast into darkness. Might knock out some unwanted things going on this planet right now, and you know what I'm talking about. But be prepared, because we are definitely moving into a new solar cycle. We're moving into some serious things that are going to happen here in the next few days. Be prepared for that. You understand exactly what I'm talking about, guys. We're watching it. You watch it. Major heads up for the next few days. Be safe.